So in this video, let's go and see how we can create a bucket and how we can actually put objects into those buckets. So in the search button right up here, search for S3, which will bring up your S3 console. Click on S3. This is going to give you a short video on how S3 is actually working, but let's go ahead and then create the S3 bucket. So click on create bucket and it will ask you for a name. So let's put it as bucket demo file 26. And as we have seen in the earlier video, it actually talks here about the region. So you'll have to go and select a specific region, and these are the regions where you will be able to create your Amazon S3 bucket. So let's use North Virginia, US East, and then here it tells you to choose the bucket, or basically it's asking you to copy the setting of an existing bucket. So it will actually copy all the settings that you have provided for any of an existing bucket. But since this is our first bucket, let's not choose that. ACL disabled. Again, we will see what are the benefit that this bucket actually provides. There are some amount of security that bucket provides. Again, at the ACL level, which is the ACL is nothing but the access control list, which actually controls the access to the objects inside the bucket. So we can actually have that ACLs at the object level. But for this demo, we are not going to enable that. Let it be disabled. Again, all the public access are actually blocked. So if none of the objects in your bucket will be publicly accessible, only this particular user whom as I have logged in will be able to, or whoever has created the bucket, he will be able to access all the objects in the bucket. Bucket versioning, you can have multiple versions whenever there is a new changes that has actually happened to that bucket, that will be versioned. Currently we are disabling it. Here you can actually use a tag, and the benefit of tag is, let's say in this bucket we are going to put all the information about, let's say, the personal information. So you can actually use something called a key called personal information, or personal info, let's say. And then we can actually say that, maybe the personal info like driving license, right? We can actually set that so that we understand, this particular bucket which we have created is for holding the personal information, driving license. So let's have that there. And finally, this data encryption, this is basically if you telling the Amazon services whether you want to disable the or enable the encryption, whether you want to encrypt the information in the buckets. In advanced settings, you have the object lock. Again, we will get into those details a little later. Let's put it as disabled, and let's go and create the bucket. So it is asking here, bucket name does not contain uppercase, so you must not contain an uppercase. That means here I have an uppercase D, so let's make it as lowercase. So all the cases should be lowercase. Let's try to create the bucket here. So the bucket has created now. Let's go inside the bucket and then upload one of the files. So let's go and add file here, and let us take the dl.jpg and then try to upload it. And you can see the bucket is the object is being created in the bucket. And what we want to do, and what I want to show is how the details of the object here. Once you click on that object, as you can see, the object is identified by first the bucket name. So bucket demo 1226 was the bucket name that we put, and then it appends that with S3 Amazon AWS.com, and finally at the DL page it identifies the at the dl.jpg, which is nothing but the object names. How do you identify an object within a bucket? So it is been identified first with the bucket name, and remember the bucket we created was bucket demo1226, and then the Amazon S3 AWS.com, and then you have the name, which is the key for the object. So that's how an object is being identified. Of what we have seen that how do you create a bucket, and how you add an object inside the bucket, and how an object is being identified by the bucket name, and then you will have the Amazon S3 specific name, which is sd.amazon.com, and then the key to your object, and key to your object is nothing but the name of your file, which in our case was dl.jpg. We also saw putting the tags and some advanced settings like ACLs and stuff like that is possible in the bucket, but we will go into that in some later video. But just a quick listing down of the what are the capabilities and what are the feature functionalities of bucket. Bucket can be used to organize your Amazon S3 namespace. What that means is, if you are not aware of namespace, just think about this as basically the Linux namespace. If you are not aware of that, basically what it does is it gives you a logical segregation of the files in your Amazon S3 system, right? So Amazon S3 storage, you can actually keep your objects in the bucket, and what it does is it gives you a logical separation so that other files will not be able to see this file. So it is a completely segregated using the namespace. So it can actually relate to the Linux namespace if you are aware of what Linux namespace is. Another thing is it identifies, the bucket actually helps you to identify the account responsible for storage and data transfer, because anything that is created in the or added in a specific bucket, only by default only the user who has created that bucket, only he will be able to see the information there, and only he will be able to transfer the information there. So the access or the even the identity and the access for that particular file will be for the person who created it. Access control we have seen, but in our example we have disabled access control. You can actually create some access controls at the bucket level, and also it helps you for the reporting. For example, we put a tag called personal information, and we called it as the value DL. You can add any number of files with the same tag, and then you can actually pull up a report telling that these many number of files has been there with a specific tag named DL, personal information. And it also helps for other reporting activities, because there are some auditing mechanism as well available, which we will see in one of the future lecture. Regarding the objects is the fundamental entities of the storage. Again, as we have already seen, objects are nothing but the files and the metadata related to the files. Objects are stored as key value pair, as we just saw that the key value or the key for an object is the name of the file. In our case it was dl.jpg, and the value is the content of the file. Each object can be of 5 TB of size. Every object, that's the maximum size that has been allowed by AWS, that is 5 terabytes of size. So that kind of sums up our today's video. We'll come up with another video on a similar topic, or maybe in detail about S3 objects and storage. Thank you.